You will never struggle with camera settings while using manual mode after watching this video. Change one simple setting in 30 seconds and everything will look perfect. It's a simple trick you need to understand and I will show it to you right now. In the beginning I was terrified by the manual mode, so many settings. At the same time I dreamed about mastering the manual mode because in auto mode the image is not constant. If you move or create a shadow with your hand, the camera will automatically adjust the settings on the fly and never have a constant image that's easy to watch and pay attention to. But after understanding the flow of the manual settings, boom, everything was clear and fast. Now I simply turn on the camera and I change, if it's necessary, one single setting and that's it. Less than 30 seconds. I will demonstrate it to you immediately using a timer. Beginners tend to believe that it is more complicated than it is. I was there and I'm familiar with the feeling. In manual mode you need to set your frame rate, shutter speed, aperture, ISO, white balance and all the settings for the autofocus. These are the main settings you need to work with. And I explained and showed how to set all of them step by step in this tutorial. I will add a link in the description to this tutorial if you want to understand and learn how to set everything according to your needs. All the settings have a major importance, but people think that they need to set everything all the time. When we learn all the necessary settings, we set our camera correctly for the first time in maybe 1 hour. But for talking head videos, and not just for talking head videos, 80% of the time you need to change just one setting and I will show you the trick and how to use it extremely fast and perfectly. You need first to understand what to do with all of them. The frame rate first. For talking head videos, 24 FPS is perfect. If you want, you can shoot at 30 FPS also or 25, but there's no need to change the FPS every time you shoot. And on ZV-10 you can press the display button until you see on the screen all the settings. Like this, when you turn on the camera, it takes 2 seconds to check if you have your frame rate as you want. The only moment when you want to change the frame rate is when you shoot slow motion. With ZV-10 you can do that only in Full HD, but for talking head videos, educational content or Zoom or Skype calls, you have no reason to use slow motion. After you have the frame rate as you wish, the shutter speed needs to be properly adjusted. It should be double than the frame rate. If you shoot at 30 FPS, the shutter speed should be 60. If you shoot at 25 FPS, it needs to be 50. But if you shoot at 24 FPS, keep it at 50 because you don't have 48. In this case, we choose the closest value. If you create talking head videos, you will set the frame rate and shutter speed and rarely change them. And the shutter speed can also be checked instantly when turning on the camera. I shoot talking head videos and I change these settings extremely rare. Let's go to the next important setting, the aperture. For talking head videos, people want that beautiful blur behind the subject most of the time. To achieve this effect in a tiny room, we need to use a fast lens with f1.4, 1.8 or 2.8. So we need to set the aperture as low as possible. Because I have a 1.4 lens, I will set it at 1.4. Of course, you can lower this value according to the lens you have. After you set the aperture as you like, this setting is something that you will not change all the time. If you find the image that you like, you don't need to change the aperture. And it can also be verified instantly when you turn on the camera. Trust me, 90% of the time you will use the same frame rate, the same shutter speed and the same aperture for talking head videos. The only thing you need to check and sometimes change is the ISO. But first you need to understand the simplest and the easiest way to set it correctly with super speed. The easiest way to do it is to use Zebra and set the perfect exposure all the time. Go into the menu, menu number 2, submenu number 7, and here we can see Zebra. Turn it on and go back to set it right. Let's understand how it works. We can see here some values from 70 up to 100 plus and 2 custom ones. Let's set first the Zebra at 100. We can see on the screen now some lines. Don't worry, these lines are just on the camera screen as a guide. You are not going to see them on the footage. The area where you see these lines on the screen is exposed at 100. That means the area is burned out. We don't want that and we need to stay away from this value. But when we are in the shot for talking head videos, our main focus is on us, our skin. Human skin should be exposed at 70, some prefer a little bit lower at 60. This is not an exact science and we can't expose the entire face equally at 70 or 60, but I try to be there and not go over 70. What I do is go to set the zebra at 70. When we have the zebra set at 100, it shows the area exposed there at the higher limit. Now, with the zebra set at 70, it will show the areas exposed at 70 where your skin should be. So I will increase the light if it's necessary, or decrease it, or increase the ISO or decrease it until I see the lines on the skin. And when you see the lines on your skin, stop there and you have a properly exposed image. Let me demonstrate how fast it is. And if you find this video useful until now, don't forget to press the like button and maybe consider subscribing. Thank you. I'm in the studio and I turn on my camera to shoot a talking head video. Check the frame rate, shutter speed and aperture. And the only thing I need to do is to set the ISO until I see the lines on the skin. If I have the lights at the same intensity, I don't even need to do that, the lines will be there. The settings for the autofocus or the white balance will be kept after you set them if you don't change them. In manual mode everything will stay the same, so if you change the angle of shooting, the light can have another intensity, and all you have to do is to set the ISO until you have the lines on the skin. Most of the time, if you don't change the frame rate to shoot slow motion, even if you move from one room to another or go outside, all you have to do is adjust the ISO. It takes a lot of time to set your camera manually. Only for the first time, when you learn how to do it and after you understand the principles of shooting video with a mirrorless camera and have all the settings done right, you won't need to do the work every time. And to understand and learn how to set everything correctly step by step, fast and easy, I will give you a dedicated tutorial. If you follow this one, in a few minutes your image will be transformed and it will reach a new level of image quality. Click on the video, set your camera manually and improve your image quality right now.